You can take our meat at the same time and see who's you like better.
This is the Schmo with the Pro with three-time NCAA champion, Dan Hodge Trophy winner, 9-1 UFC middleweight. Give him a tickle. He's Bo Nickal in the flesh, RAF 12, Cleveland, Ohio, 1-year anniversary. How we doing?
Doing great. I need you to announce me for the match. That was pretty solid. Good intro.
Let's make that happen somehow.
I like it. Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Feeling great, but yeah, ready to compete.
You seem to call your own shots around here. It started on social media. Max McKennelly, obviously, he's got the wrestling accolades, bridging two gaps of two different generations of wrestling. What gives you the confidence to compete at the highest level here in wrestling still, Bo?
I mean, just a lifetime of work. Been competing and training since 5 years old. And so, of course, it's not my main focus right now, but, still spending a lot of time on the mat, getting better, improving. I think I'm a better wrestler than I've ever been. So, it's exciting to be able to compete against the best guys. There's really nobody that is a crossover guy that is willing to compete against me either. So I got to wrestle the best guys that are full-time wrestling. And, the competitive side of me enjoys that a little bit because I think I'm a little bit of an underdog in this one, which is exciting. Not
usual territory for you as well.
No, definitely not. But I kind of like it. It's kind of fun to feel like, maybe the odds are a little stacked against me, not training wrestling full time and whatnot. But I think I'm ready to go. I'm, always prepared, always getting better, improving, training. And we'll see how it goes, but definitely expecting to dominate.
That's the prediction, domination?
Of course. Yeah. I don't think that, most people would think that just based off of the scenario, me having, not wrestled in a year, only wrestled one match the last 5-6 years. McAnally coming off NCAA championship, age group world gold medal. So, he's a tough opponent, but I think that I'm a different level and different level of competitor, different level of athlete. So it's going to be exciting to test myself against a tough guy. And, like I said, I don't ever go into competition expecting to do anything other than dominate.
Is Bo Nickal more of a wrestler these days or more of an MMA fighter?
I mean, for sure, more focused on MMA. Spent the last 7-8 months prepping for a UFC fight at the White House. So, that's been my focus. But wrestling something that is always going to be natural for me. It's always going to be in me. It's always going to be part of my training regimen, even if it's not the focus. So I feel ready to go. And it's like riding a bike, right? So, take the training wheels off and let it rip.
Coming off the highest of highs at the White House, obviously a great performance. You got the finish. Every fight was a finish there. Yeah. What's the biggest thing that surprised you in your life since that victory?
It was a little interesting, immediately post-fight because you compete in this event and there's so much hype and excitement and it's really like the biggest event in UFC history. So you finish up and then you're like, what's next? And in my mind, it's just like a question mark. It's like, where do I go next? What's the plan? Am I fight another unranked guy? Am I going to fight a ranked guy, top 10, top 5? Like, what's my kind of trajectory and path from here? So, kind of that wave of excitement and everything, it ends pretty quickly, post-fight, and then I'm just on to what's next. So it feels a little weird to have competed in like an event that big, and now it's not necessarily like a step down for the next event, but it definitely doesn't have the hype of what that had. So does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
You're the 13th ranked guy. Does that mean you're fighting a top 10 guy next when you fight in the UFC?
I'd love to fight a top 10 guy. That for me would be ideal scenario. So, main focus is just improve, get better, take it step by step. And I really am just doing this because I love it. I enjoy it. And the accomplishments, the accolades, the rankings, that type of stuff will come with just improvement. So, for me, whoever they match me up with, I'll be happy to face.
Names in mind, and will it be in 2026?
Definitely this year, looking at, hopefully late 2026. Don't really care. I think there's a few fights in the middleweight division that kind of got to work themselves out. And once those get worked out, then, I'll see where everybody stacks up. And, at this point, I just take whoever the UFC gives me. So if they send a name, I don't really, I'm not like trying to, sneak around guys or anything like that. I'm just fighting whoever they match me up with.
A couple years ago, we've been doing interviews for many years. Yeah. We talked about the potential matchup with Khamzat Chimaev. Is it going to actually happen in the UFC before it happens on the mats here in RAF?
I think probably UFC first. I would love it if it was in RAF. I think that he'd probably be game to face me. He's a confident guy. He's definitely a talented guy. I think that either way it'd be exciting, but I would expect it probably to be in the UFC first. But it would be really cool if it was in RAF first and then built that to a title fight after that. So, who knows? You never know what's going to happen in this sport.
Do you feel differently about him since his loss to Strickland?
A little bit, yeah. I think, when I watched that fight, it was a super close fight, super tight. Both guys competed well. And so, it definitely, him pulling guard, things like that, changes the perspective of him a little bit, I think. But, he's still one of the best guys in the world, if not the best guy in the world. So, for me, I really shifted my goals away from not really trying to beat any certain guy. I'm just trying to get better at the sport, improve every day, and just see how good I can get. And that's what's fun for me is the process.
What happens differently in the rematches? That's what we get in the middleweight championship, him and Strickland.
I don't know. I mean, rematch, it'll be tough because those guys had already fought and trained so many times, so it's hard to say it would go that much differently because I'm sure they already put in, a ton of rounds together prior to that. So just one 25-minute fight is probably just a fraction of the overall time they've spent. So I think it would be probably a similar fight. It's going to be a close fight, tough fight. Strickland knows, he can defend the submissions, so he's just looking to try to wear him out. Khamzat is just trying to, control, stay on the gas. So I'd expect Khamzat to try to maybe control him a little bit more and be a little more cautious with his gas tank. But that's really the only difference I could see.
And going back to RAF, since we won't see it in the middleweight division of the UFC, are you going to wrestle Colby Covington at RAF?
If he ever agrees, the guy's a coward. He's scared. He knows what I would do to him in a wrestling match. He always complains about me being so much bigger than him. I mean, we're within a couple pounds of each other, so I don't really know why he's complaining about that. But he's definitely, doing everything he can possible to not get that matchup because he knows I would decimate him. It would be ugly, and it would be fun for me because he's a guy that talks crazy a lot, and he's a big name. So, I would dump him on his head and get a big highlight, and it'd be great. But I think he's too smart to accept that match.
Well, maybe someone who dislikes him more than you is his opponent, Belal Muhammad. They're fighting in Miami, I guess wrestling.
Yeah.
Not fighting, hopefully, but wrestling.
It should be an interesting match. I mean, Belal's not necessarily he's a high-level wrestler in the UFC, but I think that Colby's probably got a little size on him maybe, and should be a competitive match. I know Belal's, competed in RAF already and done well, so I think that, that should be a competitive match. I'd say right now I'd say Colby's probably the favorite, but you never know.
If we were to ever get some rankings in RAF, where are we putting you to start things off?
Top of the food chain right here.
Number one.
Especially for that crossover. I mean, really that's what I am. I'm a crossover athlete. I'm competing full-time in MMA and then coming into RAF and, competing in wrestling as well as a secondary thing. But I think that there's no real crossover athletes that want to compete against me. I'm in an interesting spot because I'm too good to compete against the crossover guys, but I'm also not training wrestling full-time. So it's just very unique. And, but yeah, I don't know. Rankings-wise, top
of the food chain.
For sure.
Who would you say is the best top three wrestlers right now in the UFC, not named Bo Nickal?
Top three wrestlers in the UFC. I mean, Gable Stevenson for sure. Just made his debut, had a great performance. Also competing RAF. Josh Hokit's tough. He doesn't use his wrestling as much. He's been boxing a lot more in his fights. Uses wrestling a little bit, but he's a tough wrestler. I like. Sean Brady, another very high-level grappler wrestler, making his wrestling debut this
Against
weekend.
Jordan Burroughs, Olympic gold medalist.
Yeah, hats off to Brady for that. That's shows a lot of courage and belief, which is really cool to see. He's a guy that is really high-level wrestling. Gotta love Merab, Islam Makhachev. These guys are all very, very good. Everybody's good now. Everybody can wrestle. Pure wrestling is just so much different than MMA wrestling. So you throw any of those guys in here in pure wrestling, and you see it changes the outcomes. But everybody's top of the food chain nowadays. You have to be good at everything to be able to compete in the UFC.
You shared UFC Freedom 250 with him. You've also shared the mats with him. You mentioned him earlier. Josh Hokit, is he a future champion in the heavyweight division, or do you think we see him compete in the light heavyweight division in the UFC?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely not a massive heavyweight. Him and I wrestled at 197 in college. I think he could get down to 205 pretty easily. And so, in my ideal world, I would love to see him and Gable match up for the title, here in a couple fights. Josh Hokit's obviously a little ahead of him in the timeline of his career. So I think, Gable continues to get experience, gets fights, and I would love to see two wrestlers match up for the belt. That'd be exciting.
In a perfect world, when is Bo Nickal competing for the UFC middleweight championship belt?
I think, it could be one more fight. It could be three more fights, but definitely by the, 2027, 2028 timeline. For me, I don't really care. I just want to keep getting better and improve. I know that, like I said, the accolades, the accomplishments, these things will come with time. Just keep putting the work in, getting better, improving. And I know where I'm headed. I just got to keep getting better every day.
Who cooks a better piece of schmeat, you or Volkanovski?
I mean, I think Volk's solid, but I think I got him on that one. I got those Texas Brutes barbecue. I know how it's done. He does a good job, though. We'll have to do a cook-off and see. Maybe you can test it out and pick who you like better.
Absolutely. We got to blindfold the Schmo.
You can take our meat at the same time and see who's you like better.
That's right. And remember, what temperature are we doing that at?
Medium rare, of course.
The only way.
That's it.
Final message for all the Bo Nickal fans out there worldwide.
Appreciate y'all. Thank you for the support. Love you guys. It means the world to me, all of your support. And tune in, Fox Nation, this Saturday. Watch me kick some butt.
One of the greatest crossover athletes on planet Earth. He's the pro. I'm the Schmo. RAF 12, Cleveland, Ohio. We're out.